Hello everybody, it's Graham Cope with another MyMusic, and the dog's gone mad, I've gone mad, who knows what could happen in the next half an hour. I'm going to be talking to Elle Exxe, but first we're going to watch this little video from Analog Trash. Enjoyed that video. It's quite lively, isn't it? Some people will be wondering now how I managed to get the dog to bark on cue right at the beginning of the program. I didn't. He just does that. That's dogs for you. They will do whatever they want to do. A little bit like children. You have your own child, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I have a 2.5-year-old.
Yeah,
He's pretty wild.
I love them though, don't you? I mean, how much? Let's start there. How much have you learnt from your child?
Oh, so much. Like, it's completely shifted my priorities and what's important in the world. And it's makes life kind of more exciting again. It's like that first year when you have a child, everything you do is the first time you've done it. You know, it's like the first time I've gone for a walk.
Yeah. Well, we've got 5 children. Which means that I've started life 5 times over. It also means, Elle, that I haven't actually slept for 19 odd years or something like that. So well, you can sympathise with that. Yeah. Does your little one sleep?
I mean, yes, but he wakes me up every night.
Oh,
so
there you go.
That's a bit rough.
Now, listen, I'm excited to talk to you because I believe that you're a great, truly multi-dimensional person, which is fantastic. And we need more people like you in the world. Let's start on that, because not only are you a musician, but you also, I mean, you can do some art as well. You know, all of this stuff that we're looking in the background, that's all of you as well. You've got a YouTube channel with Aid as well, which is fantastic, and you're bringing your sort of family life in there, and you're documenting that. So you're creating on lots and lots of different levels. Do you get a little bit tired sometimes of people looking at musicians and going, but they're just a musician?
Well, I'm not sure I've experienced that. But I have experienced the feeling of, I'm a musician. Like I want to be seen as an artist, and about my music first and foremost. And I worry sometimes when I do things that are outside of that, whether it distracts people from the fact that I am a musician. Like, I was very conscious when I had a baby that I didn't want my whole feed to become about my son, because then people just think you're a mum. They don't remember that you are a musician as well. And that, like, the more you post about your child, it's like, oh wait, they don't care about music anymore. Or the more I post about family life, or I don't know, I'm quite passionate about accessibility and things like that. If I start posting about property and making your house accessible, does that mean that I have stopped making music? Like, no.
That's what I mean, in a way. It's something that I've
say it to me.
Yeah, it's something that I've had to put. I've put it at the top of my YouTube channel, and I've had some criticism from people, because, you know, some people that find me through these music interviews and whatever, and they go, I've had people say, but you know what the problem is? Your YouTube channel is quite confusing, because you talk about culture, and again, a bit like yourself, I talk about accessibility and disability, and I talk about inclusion, and I talk about things like ergonomics and whatever, and they're like, you're confusing, because why don't you just talk about music? And it's like, because I'm a person that is interested in all of these things, right?
Yeah. But people want you to be focused on one thing. And I think that a lot of people's mind, like my mind, doesn't work that way. I like to do multiple things at the same time. But even within music, I was getting told I was too pop for rock, too rock for pop. Like, why can't I be both things? Why, like, if I, I've had this idea for ages that I want to release an acoustic version of my album, the real version, the kind of electro pop version, and then the dance version of it all. And like, I can do all of those. I can do the acoustic version all by myself. I can do the remix album all by myself. I can do the indie pop one by myself. But it's so confusing for people that, like, on Spotify, then I would have all these different sounds and they can't categorize me. And it's a massive frustration, but I don't know,
Well,
there's part of me that kind of understands it.
yeah, I kind of understand it as well, but it's a problem for the algorithm, and it's a problem for
Yeah.
technology and computers. Is it really a problem for people? I don't know whether it is. I think people actually want people to be as
Yeah.
diverse as they are in all of the things that they're interested in. I think it's just that kind of the people behind the boxes want to put you in that kind of little box and struggle with it. I mean, the fact that an artist has to kind of pick three categories to put you know, their music in to upload it or whatever, it's just kind of daft. Do you think there's
Yeah.
possibly a better way? I've said before now on here, I'd love to see maybe someone create a platform, or someone like Spotify create an element of a platform where if you want to, you can turn that algorithm off and you can actually get a curated algorithm from people where it's like, I'm going to recommend this, and this because actually, because I like that, I also like this and I like that. And
Well, I think that kind of exists through playlists, through human-made playlists.
it does, but you've got to then get to the playlist. That's the problem, you
Yeah,
know.
I suppose. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have the people more upfront in the platform, if you know what I mean. So it's like these are my
Yeah.
friends, and like my friends are telling me to go
Yeah.
here, there, and everywhere, or whatever.
I think that's what artists should be doing though, and what bloggers and things like that. Like we have we can link to our own playlists through Instagram or whatever, and maybe that should be celebrated more within the Spotify platform of like, here are some playlisters that really get your taste or something. But then there goes the algorithm again.
You said before we came on and did this today that you're going through a bit of a shift in terms of everything really in your life at the moment. What
Mm.
has driven that shift? Is that becoming a family unit, or is that something within your own artistry?
Oh, so I guess it began at the end of 2019. I was quite frustrated. But at the start of 2020, I was like, I'm going to release a single every month, which I started doing. But of course, COVID hit. I continued through COVID, and I got pregnant in April of 2020, and then I continued through pregnancy. But then in the summer of that year, my laptop completely died. I lost loads of video content. Like I'd literally backed up everything onto my laptop that day, wiped my like cards on my cameras and stuff like that, and the computer just wiped out. It just went, and I couldn't believe it. Like literally lost so much, which led to a lot of frustration. And so like then all the feelings of having become, well, I was pregnant, so I was tired. COVID just kept kind of coming back. Nobody was able to tour. Nobody, like, I'd planned to go to America in March. I was going to go out to South by and like really, yeah, do a load of stuff. and I didn't get to do that. And then, of course, coming out of COVID, I had a baby, which was a whole different experience. Live wasn't the same anymore. I didn't know what was going on. So I've had a lot of time to reflect. But also, I was building this studio that I'm in right now. I was building this the whole time. And I always said to myself that once I built it, I wanted to spend like a year just playing around, really. And having done that, I have kind of shifted in genres a little bit. I'm probably way more electronic now. I started using Ableton instead of Logic, and that really inspired a whole different side to me. So yeah, it's been a process. It hasn't just been overnight that I just was like, oh, which way do I go? But yeah, lots of time to reflect and play.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant that you that those different factors came together all at the same sort of time. I mean, it's exciting in a way, the journey that you're on, isn't it? Just very quickly for a minute,
Yeah.
can we just see that chair that you're sat on? Because that's fantastic. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, it's so effectively what you've done is you're taking a chair that already exists and you're just sort of outlining and whatever to make it look more cartoony, look more two-dimensional.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I have some frustrations in that my husband knew that everything I was doing in here needed to be white so that I could draw the black outlines. But he bought me a chair that had a grey back. So I spent hours painting it white and then the outlines and stuff. But yeah, but the essence is it's just basically outlining everything.
Yeah, it looks so good. It looks so good. It's kind of a look that's really coming in at the moment. I saw the other day there's some school satchels
Yeah.
that you can get that like look
Uh,
like they're 2D.
you know what? Those were actually, I think, there's what are they called? Fly off paper or something. I've got that
Yeah, yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
But those were one of the first kind of 2D, 3D illusions that I saw. And then I had a pair of trainers when I was like 17 or something that had a similar effect. I remember people would look at my feet and they were like, hold on, I don't, your,
Your feet are
your
flat.
feet look like they're flat. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I got flat feet. But it became a thing for me when I started my like performing. Like as a somebody said to me, "Well, what's the band gonna wear when you perform?" And I was like, "Well, obviously, I want them to. Well, not obviously, actually. A lot of people would just put their band in all black, but I had always thought that all black it just makes people vanish, and I didn't want them to vanish. I wanted to kind of make a statement." And I've always been kind of conscious of the fact that everybody has a story that you maybe don't see. So like, for example, celebrities or whatever, you may have an opinion on a celebrity. You've never met them, but you've heard a few facts about them. So to me, it's like you've seen the outlines of that person, but you don't know the depth of that person. So this kind of 2D, 3D metaphor was all about kind of playing with that concept of like you can see the outline, but you can't see the person's depth, and kind of just putting that in people's faces. And it's been quite interesting because on stage it certainly like had a very Marmite appeal in terms of music industry. Some people were just like, ugh. And I was like, that is exactly what I was going for because I wanted them to be challenged by it. And yeah,
Hey, look, it's
when
better to actually
I thought,
have an opinion one way or the other on something than kind of people like
yeah,
saying, "Well, I've seen that
exactly.
before."
And and it made it memorable. It was like any time that people looked at my band, like if someone was gonna see me at a festival or a showcase, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, the girl with the 2D band," you know. So it was fun. And I felt like when I did the studio, like at first I thought about making it all plush and pretty, and I thought, no, I'm gonna go all out and like make this a playful like illusion, really like mess with people's minds when they come in, so that they instantly are in that place of like experimenting and maybe taking themselves out of the box that they're used to.
Talking about people taken themselves out of a box, and that actually this kind of illusion of kind of a cartoon land, you, with the fact that you are interested in accessibility and inclusion, etc., is it partly a statement on society as well?
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, I suppose to a degree, I feel like people look at me and they think certain things. And I'm like, you don't know me. Like, nobody really knows me. Even my friends, to a degree, they only know
Bit of you.
the bits of me that I've shown them, I suppose. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely a statement on the wider society, and really just a reminder to everyone to remember that depth. Remember, everybody's got a story.
Is that part and parcel of the sort of pros and cons of modern digital living with social media, etc., which is that everybody sees a lot of everybody, but at the end of the day, they know very little actually of anybody as well. You
Yeah.
know, but I
Yeah.
just think that
Yeah.
we don't really know much of anybody's story. What we see quite a lot of the time is someone's perceived story out there.
Yeah.
What are some of the main things that you've tried to fight for in terms of inclusion?
Um, so I suppose access is a big one. Like I'm constantly trying to push people to put ramps instead of stairs. I really have struggled with the fact that most kind of small venues are inaccessible. Like certainly, I'm based in London, and uh, there's stairs down to any small venue or up to any small venue. Like there is so rare to find a ground level small venue, you know. So yeah, that's something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, once you start looking at it, it's amazing how inaccessible most things are. I mean, we saw this summer, I think for the first time, we saw some of the bigger venues with, or some of the bigger artists at venues, Coldplay, and I know was one, Ed Sheeran was another, where they did have people signing at gigs, for example. They did have some kind of wheelchair access, but it is so rare. It really is so rare. And then, sort of beyond physical
Yeah.
disability, if you get into things like neurodiversity, etc.,
Yeah.
oh, another whole game.
Yeah, Attitude is Everything. I don't know if you've heard of them, the charity. They do an amazing job of trying to promote inclusivity at venues and shows and festivals. And I know that they try and encourage people to, or people with people that maybe need a cam room they can go to at a festival or a gig, which I think is brilliant. Like, and they kind of created this framework that gives you some guidance, because like we may know a little bit about one particular disability, but I'm completely ignorant to some others. Like, yeah, like I don't know what it's like to be blind, I suppose, or you know, then some of the different neurodivergent um, needs. Do you know what I mean? And they're really
Although
good at.
I've got a friend that can help you understand that, because
Yeah.
they do awareness. One of my clients does awareness training for people with
Okay.
visual impairment and hearing impairment. It's
Yeah.
fascinating, you
Yeah.
know. And awareness is one of the things that I think we need to start with a lot younger,
Yeah.
and you know, get that education in at a lot younger age, because I think it's starting there in schools. I certainly
Mm.
think, and you'll know this once your child goes through school, etc. You'll find that they do get taught a lot more
Mm.
awareness than we ever did. I mean, if anybody had anything different about them at school, unfortunately, quite often they were bullied or made fun of, or whatever,
Yeah.
because nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
Nobody normalized it. Nobody said,
This is why.
this is why. No,
Yeah.
and kids kids want to know. Kids ask questions,
Yeah.
and I think years ago we got embarrassed by it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we
I
can't
think
get embarrassed.
children's books and stuff are great now. Like there's I think we're part of like Reading Rebels, which is a Amnesty International thing, and the books that we get through that are so interesting. And I'm always thinking, well, when you're reading it, you're thinking you're educating your child, but you're also kind of educating yourself about certain things. So I think that's a great in for helping to change society, is just trying to get these kind of books out there that explain it in a childish way almost, so that people get some sort of understanding.
Yeah. Are you finding with having that family, doing the things that you're doing the YouTube videos, etc. now, doing the family, are you finding it's filtering through into your music and what you're writing about?
Yes, like it's funny, I when I started like practicing on Ableton and just like trying a different sound, like one of my friends recommended that I started making garage music, which was quite funny to me because I was like, garage music? I don't know. Like, I wasn't a fan of garage music, but it really helped me to get, yeah, out of my head and like to just practice and actually play and not take it too seriously. And one of the things I said to myself when I started that project was, I'm going to make all these songs about baking with my son.
Right.
Because I was like,
Lovely.
then I'm not going to get too deep in, like, I'm not going to get stuck. I didn't want to get trapped, because you can get trapped when you're trying to write something complicated and deep and meaningful and all of that stuff. But the weirdest thing is that some of those songs have become actually probably my deepest songs by accident. Because really, when you bring a life into the world, like that's one of the deepest things, and that relationship that you have with a child and all of that stuff, and the relationship that I have with my partner that brought the child into the world, you know, it's the deepest emotions, and it makes you face life and death as well. So yeah, it's been really, really, yeah, it snuck into my work even when I was trying to keep it away.
Yeah. Does it sometimes feel like some of the things that you were writing about before were you were there on a thought process, or a mental thought process, because you were looking for something, and actually in a way it was probably right at the time, but it's not the same as being in it, if you know what I mean. Now that you're in it, now that you've found those things, etc., it's perhaps easier to express those things because you understand them
I think
better.
I think I find it easier to express love in my songs now.
Yeah.
But I do think that I always wrote from a deeply introspective kind of place. So yeah, I
It
do
was
think
always
that
genuine, but
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I don't think I was, I mean, that obviously at points, like maybe when I was in a co-writing session or something, I might be reaching for something that actually I didn't experience myself. But certainly towards the 2019, I was really comfortable with writing very intimately about the stuff that was going on in my life and my mind and stuff like that. I've always, I don't know, I've always been able to find things difficult. So I was always able to use music as that therapy to really analyze how people's minds work, I guess.
Have you thought about how, as your child grows, they're going to be as a listener of your music?
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving it right now. He's like, I
Just into
without
it.
without any prompting, he'll be like, "Mom, this is a tune. This is a tune." I'm like, "Oh my God, he likes my music." He's like, "This is such a good tune." But also, I've noticed the way that he can feel, like even at the age of like 1, 2, he could feel when music was happy or sad, and he would dance when it's happy. And then he literally started, even when he couldn't say very many words, and he just would say sad, sad, like when the music kind of shifted. And I guess that a little change is that I do think maybe a little bit more about my lyrics in terms of child, like what I would want him to think of what I'm saying sometimes, like I don't want to be a bad influence. That doesn't mean I'm not going to swear or whatever, but it just, I try to have a positive kind of spin on something, perhaps.
Yeah. Are you prepared for the teenage years though, when everything that you do isn't cool?
I don't know. I think he's going to be my drummer, man. I'm going to be naive
Oh,
to
right.
this. I'm just going to keep dreaming that me and him are going on tour.
Do you know what? That's probably the most sensible thing to do.
Yeah.
Keep them really close, keep them actually involved, so
Yeah.
that you don't go through that process that
Yeah.
most of us parents go through, which is there comes an age where they suddenly go, why? Why, Dad?
I know he's going to do that for sure, but I'm going to pretend that he's just going to love me forever.
Yeah. Well, one of my sons sits there, and his favourite jibe is he'll go, I'm listening to a podcast, Dad. It's not your podcast. He just loves to kind of get that in there. It's just like,
man.
but I guess that's an important part of them becoming themselves as well, which is that
Yeah.
they have to kind of
So
tell
true.
they have to kind of tell you that, I've developed my own listening. I've developed my own taste. I've developed my
Yeah.
own thing. And you kind of, part of it hurts. Part of it, you think that's great.
It's the healthiest thing, I think, for a child to have their own independent identity. Like I think that's a little bit of a fear, I suppose, because my husband has got a lot of accolades to his name and stuff like that, and I don't have anything on the same degree, but and I see the pressures that some children face when their parents are celebrated and stuff like that. And I don't want him to get trapped in trying to become me or trying to become Addy. Like, I want him to be his own person. And if that means shunning us, then I'll take it, just to not make him feel trapped in our lives,
Yeah, I don't think you'll find that will happen.
Yeah.
You seem from what I know, because as we were saying earlier, I don't really know you.
I'm secretly very evil.
You secretly hide the sweets and the chocolates at the weekend.
There's a few bodies under this studio. No, there's not. Please don't dig up my studio.
What going into 2024, because we're nearly at the end of this year now, which is is quite scary. I mean, do you have kind of any ambitions into 2024? Is there something, either as yourself or collectively as a family, you want to try and achieve? What's on the horizon?
There's I want to get some music out there. I really am missing performing, so I want to have a vehicle to get back out there. But also I am in the process of launching a business which is in accessible property, and basically teaching estate agents about access and trying to make it easier for people to find accessible housing, because there is really not a solution for that right now.
I need to introduce you to someone that I literally just met this morning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's funny how the world goes round. But I honestly, I was absolutely gobsmacked by this. I was in a meeting this morning. I met someone for the first time. This guy is a genius.
Mm-hmm.
You know when you get those bedroom closet geniuses who have created something which is absolutely amazing, and they don't even really know the worth of what they've created. This guy has created a system where he can digitize sort of walk rounds of buildings, and literally and then embed it into Google Maps, so that if someone's showing you around the building, it's really showing you around the building.
Yeah.
Every floor, everything. I'll hook you up. But
that'd be
we
great.
were talking this morning, it'd be so good for accessibility, because with all the will in the world, estate agents lie, because they're selling a property.
Yeah. Honestly, the amount of properties we showed up and there were stairs to get in, I was like, well, what was the point? You're not going to sell us a property with stairs to get in. No. Yeah.
No, I think it'd be. It's great. I went to a thing from the I think it might have been the BDF or someone like that a few years back at Sainsbury's headquarters in London, and there was someone there that had developed an app for accessibility, and it was to do with holidays. Yes. Similar kind of thing, which was that, if you're going on holiday somewhere, the brochure says it's got Wi-Fi, it's got a lovely lounge, it's got
They sold it to Airbnb, didn't they?
Yeah. It doesn't tell you how you get around that hotel. It doesn't tell you how you get into that hotel. It doesn't tell you, any of the stuff that's, and that was, I feel, was brilliant. We need more of that, so people can actually go, yeah, I'm not going there, not on your Nelly.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. Don't even get me started on accessibility of websites.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Look, I think you're a great artist. I think you've got real depth in terms of the type of music you've already made, and I feel like you've got a great narrative as well. And I look forward to seeing how that narrative plays out as well within your songs as you're doing all of these other bits and pieces as well. And I'm sure it will. I'm sure that elements of your family life will come in, and that's refreshing as well. To see that, because it's unfortunately. Do you still feel like that some musicians tend to have to not talk about family? It's almost like,
I think especially for women, women are particularly afraid of getting branded a mother and nothing else, and losing their personal identity and all of that stuff. So yeah, I think most people shy away from talking about it.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because as you say, it's such a huge part of people's life, and why is everything just geared towards 20-year-olds or teenagers? It's very strange.
There's plenty of 20-year-olds, dare I say, even teenagers that have had kids.
True, very true.
But also, maybe actually we need in that as well. Maybe we actually need more young mums who are actually role models, talking about motherhood within their music and whatever, as well as maybe lessons for the younger generation as to the right and the wrong way to do things as well. I mean, that's kind of important. If we take those narratives out, then actually, maybe too much pop music is still about sex and rock and roll, and that's fine, but doesn't say the whole story. And that's so. I mean, it's great. I think it's great what you're doing. Thank you for coming on, chatting.
It's a
today.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No, absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming here. If people haven't checked out your music at the moment, where's the best place for them to go?
Spotify, Apple Music. They just need to search my name, ELLE space EXXE.
Yeah. It always reminds me of LA.
Yeah.
Or my LAX,
Yeah.
You see, just think about it like that, but the double X in the middle, not triple X like the old lager, double X in the middle, and then you'll remember it. That's the key for any of you dyslexics out there. Thank you so much for coming on. Please do go and check out Elle Exxe's music. Do download it. Now we're gonna actually add one of your tracks to the MyMusic podcast on Spotify now. We've got a playlist going, so that every artist, of which now there's 300, I think you're 302. So it's a long playlist. It's about 16.5 hours long.
Put me at the top.
We'll put you in the top. So what track would you like us to add?
I think add Rose Gold.
Rose Gold. That's going to be done. People, if you don't know, if you can't find anything else, and you're already following the playlist, you'll find Rose Gold on there, and you can click through, and then you can find the artist, and then you can like, and you can follow, and all of those other things, which is marvelous. Please do support music. Remember that, folks. Musicians don't make a huge amount of money, only the ones at the top. So please do give support in any which way, shape and form that you can. If you've enjoyed the conversation with Elle today, please do support her. Until next time, this has been MyMusic. Bye for now.